What to Do Wednesdays with Candy Thompson and Missing in Action, Garrett Gray. Garrett is actually working on real estate today. So he's out there killing it and has inspections and has been busy all week with real estate. So we have our guest today. We're very, very excited. We're actually kicking off a new series for 2025 called Getting to Know Your Supervisors. And so we are very excited for our first guest supervisor, Mr. Dan Epperson,
Morning.
who was just elected into District 2, which is the Ione. Where exactly are those parameters?
Yeah, so it runs up Sutter Ione Road all the way to 49ers. It kind of goes up through there a little bit,
Okay.
and it goes down all the way to Comanche Village, not Buena Vista, just to the west of the Buena Vista Casino, and then on south, and then west of all there. So
Okay.
104 south when you go north.
So pretty much Ione is your coverage.
Yeah, I own the city of Ione, and then just the surrounding community there. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, Dan was just newly elected as the supervisor for District 2, and we're very, very excited to get to know our local government. We think there were 3 elections this last time and 2 brand new. And so we're very excited to kick off this series to where we're going to dig into who they are and who we have that is running our county. And so anyway, welcome, Dan. We're so excited to have you.
Yeah.
Dan and I have actually been acquainted since we first started Divine Properties. He was always a huge supporter of Divine Properties. He was actually on our very first video that we had on our website. Remember, as mayor?
Oh, crazy. Yeah, that's a while back. Man.
Yeah, it was. So, okay, Dan, tell us what prompted you to run for supervisor? Like, was it because you're not one of those career politician guys?
No, I mean, well, I started out, I was actually really frustrated with our city years ago, and somebody approached me and asked me if I'd run for office. I mulled it over. My wife, I asked her what she thought about that. She said, "You yell at the TV more than anybody I know. You think I could do something." Well, then a few months later, I'm sitting in public office, not really, knowing what's up. And then that I ran 3 terms there and I'm Ione's longest serving mayor, which is kind of funny.
Oh, that's exciting.
4 terms in a row, and then a 5th. And then that kind of wound down. I got voted out of office, and I had a nice 2-year break, which is actually really, really a good time just to kind of sit back and think about it. And I talked to Richard over the years about what his job was like, and really John Plass too. He really inspired me. I had a good conversation with him and Rico Waller years ago. Some of these guys I really kind of respect because and I asked them, they'll tell all the same thing. It's like everything's fast and slow. It's like the pace sometimes is a little bit of a grind, but when you look back, you will see kind of getting some things done. And then just talking to people, and I just kind of have a heart to serve people, and that's kind of my thing. I mean, I feel like I'm a pastor by trade, is what I do for regular work, I guess. But I just look at it as pastoring more people, because that's what you're doing. You're just helping lead people and encourage them and trying to help them have a better quality of life and just enjoy the good things they have, because we don't all have the same amount. We can have the same enjoyment if you choose to do that.
Right.
And so that was kind of one thing, and then just look at the roads and just talking to people and some of the things that I was on a lot of these committees already, so I'm on 19 committees right now.
Oh
just super cool. I think I've ended up maybe a third of them every day. I'm like, what am I doing today? And some of this I'm familiar with. Yesterday we had the air district, and I don't know anything about that. I was trying to read the binder, get through all the policy stuff, but anyway, I just like to be able to be an influence, and then I was down at the CSAC, which is where all the supervisors meet. And I was in there listening to some of the committee stuff, just some of the card things with the air quality. I'm like, man, this is exactly why I ran. This is where I want to be, because I want to be a voice. I want to be able to, relay the concerns of the people and try to help California become what it could be. I mean, that's the long and short of it.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're very excited for you, and thank you for your service. I know. So you jumping into office when you did kind of reminds me of my journey into it. So I remember when you were first running for mayor, and you were hoping you didn't get it. It was something the Lord had put on your heart. And that reminds me, because being a part of the school board and jumping into that, like the Lord told me to do it, but I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, Lord, if I don't get this, it's going to be fine. And you kind of had the same journey in asking your congregation to please not vote for you.
That was real.
Yeah.
Well, and this was last time too. I felt like it was gonna be a tie race. They always say run like they're 10 points behind, and so I just worked as hard as I possibly could. taking every moment I could. My wife, she's like, "You need to get out. You need to get out." I'm like, "All right, all right." So she,
Right.
I get a little frustrated with her, but I knew she was right. That was a
That's
problem.
right. That's right.
So I got out there and just started hustling. And then, yeah, then then when the vote came out the first night, it was kind of, it was disappointing, but I was like, well, I'm 37 votes down to 39, whatever it was. And I thought, man, that kind of stinks. And we went to dinner, and I was like, I'm okay with this. She's like, no, you're not. You fought hard to win.
That's right.
You want to win. I said, I do.
Yeah.
But the vote was already there. And then Friday afternoon, I was actually driving up to another board I'm on up north, and driving down I-5 north of Sacramento. And one of my pastor friends, he goes, "Hey, dude, you look like you won." I'm like, oh my gosh, I was breaking. I was like, I looked it up, like, I'm ahead. Holy cow! It was wild because it went from a 30 some vote deficit to 20 some vote net positive, and then it just kind of went up and down, but it never really changed. And
Right.
towards the end there, I called elections up, not knowing, really
Right.
where it's going to land. And they said, well, there's only so many votes out, and it is what it is. He said, but there's not enough for you to lose. They didn't think, because I mean those machines.
Wow.
And people, I saw a guy post a little opinion piece the other day, but it's like the voting machines are actually pretty accurate. Here they're highly monitored. They had people inside watching the votes.
Yeah.
They come in and they take out batches and then run them and just test and make sure they're good. And that went all the way through, and there was just a few votes out. They had about, I forget how many uncured votes. Uncured votes, a vote that they don't have either an improper signature or the envelope.
Oh, got it.
And the signature doesn't match, something along those lines. And so they couldn't find those people. But so at the very end, there's only a handful of votes out, and I would have picked up a few more there. But
right.
So I mean, the election process is pretty ironclad. I mean, it's around here especially. Cheating is not very easy because everybody knows everybody.
Right, right, yeah.
Good luck with that.
No, and so because our podcast actually spans across the world, I just want to let everybody know, in our small community, we're different than when it comes election time.
Yeah.
It's different than where you're like watching it in a metropolitan area or a very large city to where you're seeing the votes come in and they go all night long. In Amador County, they did the voting one time, and then they did one more update that night. And what was that, Tuesday? Was that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then they had to wait until Friday to find out who won. And so Jack Mitchell running against Dan Epperson was also a very amazing opponent. And so that was a very close race. And so it was 37 vote difference on that first day.
Yeah.
So these guys had to sit for 4 days, like not really knowing what the end result was going to be until Friday. And then when Friday came, that's when they did one more update, because that's when they knew they would get the remaining votes in. And that's what jumped him. So how many votes did you officially win by?
24 votes.
24 votes.
Yeah.
Out of how many total?
I think it's around 7,000 or 8,000 altogether, something like that. But I know it was that's the total voting, the voting block. But yeah, at one point when the first night it came, I think it was it was a lot of weird numbers. It was like 2,222 votes, and I was 22 votes ahead. It was just some weird number.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was like on the Friday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's very exciting. And you talked a little bit about your wife, Colleen, who we love so much. Yeah. Colleen has a voice of an angel. She actually sings in their church. And so, one of the things, so I love small town Amador County. I'm so grateful that I was raised here. We love having business here. We love just being a part of this community because it is so much fun. But you, to me, are like such an epitome of small town, right? You're the pastor. Mm-hmm. Aren't you the hunting and fishing guy?
I teach hunter education.
Yeah. At one point he was the mayor. Now he's the supervisor. And you look at other like small towns and you see like these people that carry all these roles. And I've always thought about that with you, that you carry really awesome roles. You're also your youth pastor too, aren't you? You're not just your head pastor.
I have a youth leader, and then I do the kids group. I've done the kids group for years, driving the church van most Wednesdays and a lot of Thursday nights, taking teenagers home. Yeah,
I love
done that for almost the entire time. Yeah, I had a little 5-year break in the middle, but that's about it.
Right. Well, and then so Colleen is an ER nurse, a head ER nurse.
Yeah, she's an A&M assistant nurse manager.
Yeah, and she's amazing. So it's 2 public servants, which is so awesome. And then you guys have 4 kids.
Yeah, we have 4 kids and a 5th actually. We had guardianship of a kid here about 6 months ago. People talk about homelessness, and like, well, he's kind of in that situation. I mean, we just invited him into our house and talked to my 2 boys that are home, and he just decided to stay here as long as you want, and show him what the refrigerator was. Here we are. And his sister lives across the street, another thing that has guardianship of her, and so we kind of parent as a neighborhood collective, I guess. And then yeah, my oldest kid, he's 25 and lives in near Portland, and he writes code for a large computer company.
Wow.
Then my daughter, she's got her master's degree in Spanish, teaches in the Elk Grove School District, teaches
Wow.
Spanish there. And then his aide's working on his fireman stuff. And then Asher, my youngest, is what does he do? He knows computers and stuff. I guess I don't know what he does.
How old is he?
He is 17. Yeah.
Okay, so he's still in high school.
And then James, the kid that we lives with us, he's just 6 days older than Asher. So
Oh wow.
Asher's still the youngest, kind of keep that time straight. So, and I mean, they're all really good kids. I mean, I'm proud of them, every last one of them. They just are all just hardworking and really want to
That's
succeed.
awesome.
So that's kind
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they'd be hardworking and want to succeed coming from you too.
of yeah,
No, they're really great kids. It was fun. We were able to be a part of the swearing in for
yeah,
Dan and one of the other, Logan Carnell, who
yeah.
just was newly sworn in also. And so loving both of you, it was very excited to be able to be a part of that swearing in
Appreciate
ceremony
that.
recently, and your family was all there and got pictures. So what would you say is your proudest, what have you done that you're the most proud of in your public office so far?
So well, like well, the other day, I mean, so I'm this office here, haven't done a whole lot yet. Just made a few votes. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think one of the kind of it's kind of a really random thing, but like in Ione there, where there's all these things it takes. Sometimes it takes too long to do because of bureaucracy. But like, I was out campaigning, and one of the neighbor ladies, she goes, hey, I have this dead end street sign when the neighborhood built out. So the dead end street sign's like a block and a half too far down. So everybody just makes a U-turn. They think it goes through. It's on the main
Oh.
drag. And she's like, it's driving me crazy. I'm like, well, you could have told me earlier, but whatever. And then I asked her, I said, well, where would you like it at? She goes, well, I talked to my neighbor. We want it. And she gave me the exact spot. And I said, well, that should be easy. So I just said, I always send text to the management, and then whoever's in charge of that. So I'm not giving direction,
Right.
but they know what to do. And I was in the office actually there that day, and she's like, they got it done. I can't believe this. I'm like, I can't either. Well, it took 3 days. This is amazing. It's little stuff like that. I
That's
mean,
right.
the really larger one was kind of Herculean. When I first got elected in 2010, I guess it was, and we get an Ione, and I had no idea we were going bankrupt. General fund was
Mm,
super upside
mm.
down. A lot of really interesting financial stuff. None of it seemed criminal, but we could never like draw that line. But as we got our first audit and then started getting some look at the financials, we realized we were in deep, deep trouble. We
Mm.
actually retired five of our top staff, offered them a retirement package, kind
Wow.
of bought them out. But we're like, look, we're not gonna have a city here in about 8 months. If we look at the map, the lines are drawn. This is getting close,
Wow.
and they were super gracious. They didn't like it. We didn't like it, but they took the program and we worked through. It took us 6 years to get into the black in that general fund, and
Wow.
it was a very, very slow climb. It was economic downturn. It wouldn't have been for a couple
Right,
developers and some
right.
other stuff. It'd have been way worse. We finally get out of that, and then we slowly climbed out. When I left office, we had, I think it was $3 or $4 million in the general fund, but it was 12.8 or 12.6, something like that, system wide, which it was like 3.5 or 4 when I got in. So we made a pretty steep climb.
Wow.
We left some reserves, so whatever the next council does is on them. But
Yeah.
I did my part. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. And it's
Yeah,
hard. I mean, we in the on the school board, we right after I wasn't even elected. I was appointed when I first got
sure.
on, but shortly after we had a new superintendent and a new CBO, and they uncovered many things that happened
Yeah.
also to where all of a sudden we're like, oh,
Oh,
we have like $400 in an account. Like it was crazy.
I heard him say
It
that.
was it's funny because Jared Critchfield, who is currently the superintendent interim, he knows the number by heart. Like
Yeah.
it was like, oh my gosh. And so having that, like, oh my gosh, we have to bring it back to
Yeah.
this. And that it's not an easy
I was in
feat.
that meeting.
Yeah.
I was in a meeting. He said that out loud. And I would never say that out loud. It's not. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, but it was real. And it
No,
was,
yeah, it's wonderful.
he was brand new in that position and
Yeah,
he's done a phenomenal job in that
yeah,
position. And but it's funny because that was real. That was
yeah.
like the reserves should have been several hundred thousand, and it was like 600 and something dollars or something. I can't remember the exact amount. But so okay, let's talk about Dan growing up. Dan,
Oh my God.
tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
where
sure.
were you born? Tell us
Yeah,
about your childhood.
yeah. So I grew up in Illinois, a little town. It's actually Sunnyland. It's not really a town. It's a township, and that's near Peoria. I had an awesome mom and dad. I have a younger sister lives in Texas, works for CASA. She's served kids for her whole life basically.
Wow.
And then yeah, I went to Washington Community High School. Got out of there. I told him I was a horrible high school student. I was like the worst. I mean, I told my kids one day, my kids are brilliant. They all got straight A's. They get awards and stuff. I was messing around. I told them, I said, I doubled my GPA when I got to college. And they're like, how's it even possible? I said, no, trust me, it's possible. But I got to college. I learned. I always loved to learn. But I was kind of always my own thing. So I just ignored people, and I shouldn't have. My parents, they didn't pay attention. So anyway, with all that to say that I got a good GPA in college, graduated, went to North Southern University in Minneapolis, moved to Reading in '93. By then I met my wife actually an internship in Chicago of all things,
Oh, okay.
and we dated long distance for a little bit, and we got married in '94.
Is that what brought you to California?
Yeah, yeah. No, I wrote a
Oh,
letter to my youth pastor, and I was like, I'm lost. I've got this degree, I got this training, I have a heart to serve youth and minister, but I just don't know what to do with it.
right.
And he invited me to come up for spring break to California. I'm like, oh, I mean, what are you gonna say? I don't know about California on spring break. I said no. I came out, went to Reading, and I just got there. I felt like it was my house. I just felt like it was home.
Wow.
And a few months later, I moved out, and then we got married the following year, and then we were there about a year and a half. We ended up on the North Coast in Humboldt County for 7 years. And if you've ever been to Humboldt County, everybody knows. You don't say no, you want to say it twice. Everybody's like, "Yeah, I got you." No, it's different. And those days I had hair down to here, so I thought
Oh,
they thought I was
that's
buying or selling. It was always
hilarious.
this thing, and I'm like, "Well, I'm
That's
actually a pastor," and
hilarious.
they're like, and they'd have a different conversation on that. But no, and then we that kind of wrapped up, and we ended up staying with our in-laws for a few months. And again, just kind of not sure what to do. I called one of the pastors up the hill there, and he said Ione opened up, and I came down. We preached a Sunday in May, and I pulled in the parking lot and I preached. I was like, I go, this is it. And we're like, the driveway's got a really nasty bump. We come out of there. I go, this is 10 years of her life. You know that, right? And she's
Wow.
like, yeah, it's probably just to get it started. We were at our church for 7 years before we saw 35 people. We
Wow.
ministered to a lot of kids, a lot of youth. We really never cared about numbers. We just want to serve people.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, it started growing. It's going awesome now. We're putting the building up and some other fun stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been a good run. We're 23 years now or so, I guess.
In
And
Ione,
yeah.
23 years.
Yeah, we live in an old 1870s Victorian house and been fixing it up over the years. Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Well, speaking of fixing it up, one thing you don't know about Dan either is he can do anything.
Don't tell people that,
No, he
please.
can't. I'm so sorry. Dan can do anything. So we have been very blessed because during his non-supervisor role, I don't know where he got the free time, but if we had work that needed to be done with Divine Properties, because we manage a lot of rentals and we have a lot of maintenance, we would say, Dan, is there any way that you can rent? He could do anything. And so we are very grateful for you. So when you say that you fixed up your house, we know you can do anything to your house. And so I'm sure it's amazing. We're very grateful for all that you've done with us too.
Yeah, awesome. No, I love it. No, to me, it's just a good escape to get out and do something different. And I've always enjoyed fixing, repairing things. And yeah, I got the opportunity to do that. That's for sure.
Okay, so Dan, supervisor, are you thinking? I mean, next would be assemblyman, right? Like,
Yeah,
is that in your sights?
I'm looking right now trying to figure this out. I mean, I don't know. We'll see who's there, who's running, and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. You never know. You never know.
Right.
Yeah, so.
No, I love it. I mean, it's so awesome. So first of all, we love to have God-led people in office. That is a huge thing for us. We pray about that. And I mean, what a good group of supervisors.
No, we have a really good crew.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. We have some deep experience. Brian's been around for quite a bit. And then we got Pat Krug and Jeff Brown. They've all been around for a little bit.
Right.
And then Logan, Logan, he just walked into it. I mean, he's in the buzzsaw, and it's kind of fun. I always if I don't tell him, I always watch him because I'm like, read these long bureaucratic things, and I go, I wonder how he's going to, because it's hard to, some of this, I have a hard time covering. I've been in it for a while, but you're reading it, you're kind of, it's always like, why is this here?
Yeah.
You find out later why it's there, but no, I think we got a really good balanced group because you see really fresh eyes.
Yeah.
These other guys, I mean, everybody's got their we're all pretty opinionated. We all have our ideas. The other day we had a couple of tough decisions to make, and we had some really vigorous debate. It was all professional, above board.
Good.
And we had a hard discussion, and I appreciate that. I like having good, solid debates to make the right decision.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't shy away from that. So I enjoyed that part.
That's
It's
awesome.
It's going to be a good group, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so many people who do not follow politics want to know, what is a supervisor? Like, what do you do? I mean, because you have an office in the county buildings now. Like, this is an actual, like, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 plus job. What does a supervisor do?
So, I mean, right now I'm just getting used to everything. So I'm in the office quite a bit, mostly reading. I'm reading right now. I'm just reading background documents. I got Supervisor Forster left me a whole pile of stuff I've been kind of
Mm.
going through that. I went through some documents. I'm like, I remember this, and he's still here. No, or that hasn't been done yet. I'm like that kind of thing. Just trying to get caught up on the background stuff. Right now, you're either in commissions, committees, or you're but different boards you're on, and so basically you go in, and typically staff has everything's kind of queued up for you there, and you basically make decisions. So you need to be able to read pretty quickly, understand the background, and trying to figure out why you're making a decision. Is it a good decision? I mean, right now, if anybody cares, the Pine Grove project, we spent $7 million. I'm embarrassed to say that on it. That's
Wow.
planning.
What
And
is the Pine Grove
so Pine
project?
Grove project. Well, initially we got some free money. This is like probably 20 years ago. Free money for a bypass. Everyone remembers that stuff. And that plan kind of died a slow death. But we had this money, so we thought, well, maybe we can make some improvements there. And that just kept going on and on and on.
Mm.
I left that project on the table probably 3 or 4 years ago when I was on the committee or one of the members, or I was off. It rotates through. But I thought I'll come back, I'll be gone. Well, that was the first thing hits my desk. And you got to be kidding me. And
Wow.
it's a tough one because we got a lot of money invested in it, but the upside is pretty minimal. I mean, we're replacing sidewalks owned by Caltrans
Mm.
on Caltrans streets. We've got the main, if there's a positive, it ends up being kind of a net zero because they want to change the egress from the grade school down onto that north facing Pine Grove Volcano Road. And that thing's
Oh.
icy part of the
Oh,
time.
right. I've heard about that.
And I'm like, it's not icy all the time, but it's like we're trying to find what's the major upside to spend $7 million more.
Right.
And right now, I mean, I don't think any of us seem to have a stomach for it. It's painful to kill it because we have so much invested in it. But I mean, sometimes spending more bad money is, it's not a good
Right.
policy.
Right.
It's
Right.
hard, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The only upside is maybe it gave some people some jobs over the year.
Yeah.
That's not a great reason either. But yeah, and then they go to the committees and just make tough decisions, and then we're headed to the budget cycle here pretty quick. So we
Okay.
oversee the budget. We got to carve some money out for the roads. Our roads are horrible, and Measure Q did not pass by pretty good margins, largely for most of the reasons why stuff.
What was Measure Q?
The roads thing.
Okay.
It was a roads tax. I mean, local tax are the best taxes because there was not a ton of bureaucracy.
Right.
It actually had a sunset. I mean, it may come back again. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
not, I don't think it's a bad measure. I think it would be beneficial to everyone. But yeah, I mean, that's part of it. And then you meet a lot of the public. You're trying to be responsive
Right.
and
Right.
help people out, trying to figure out, what they want and how you can help them achieve that.
Right.
And make sure that the county staff is treating people fairly because that's how I got in. I just didn't feel like the city was being very responsive,
Mm.
and I mean, I was just being run around and kind of being like almost disrespected. I'm like, man, you work for us.
Right.
I work for people. I don't work for this government. I work for people.
Right.
And people get that confused because they get in office and they get a little bit of recognition. And all of a sudden they think it's about them, and you have to keep that square in your mind
Right.
because
Right.
you're a public servant now, and you have to be available and not
Right.
fuss about it. I mean, I told my kids years ago, Walmart takes twice as long as anybody else because everyone wants to talk to you about something.
Yeah, that's right.
Church,
Yes.
city,
Yes.
whatever.
Very
Like,
true.
what,
Yeah.
yeah.
Grocery stores. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in a small community.
Yeah, no, for real. No, it's,
Yeah.
but that's what I like. I mean, I enjoy that. I enjoy people and I enjoy
Yeah.
helping. So that's kind of that's what I'm at.
I love that. And so then the 5 supervisors, because we have 5 districts in
Yep.
Amador County, they meet, is it once a month or twice a
Twice
month?
a month, yeah.
Okay, twice a month, and then they make the decisions for all of county. So under your umbrella is law enforcement
Yeah.
and is what other kind of roads? So
Roads, there's an air district, that I'm on a council for aging. And there's also some JPAs, they're basically multi-county task force type things. Mental health is a big one now with a measure, I think it's SB1, and the most recent one is they're putting money to mental health care.
okay,
So yeah, we oversee that. And then there is like different councils on aging, child services, the courts, the district
homelessness does that
homelessness.
fall
Yeah, I'm
under?
on that
Okay,
task force too.
okay.
District attorney's office. We oversee. There's a lot. I mean, you got all the offices in the building there, and then we have general services, which is the purchasing, procurement, archives. There's also a thing. We have all the county archives,
Oh, okay.
all the history stuff that's over by the airport. I'm on the airport board. We have the animal services over
Oh,
there.
right,
for
right. Yeah,
dogs
that's
and
right.
Cats, a topic that's been following the internet. There's been all kinds of fussing about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then roads, county roads is a big one. The
right,
public works is a whole nother, all the infrastructure. So
right.
it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so each city has their own city council,
Yes.
although we have a lot of unincorporated cities.
We do, yeah.
Do unincorporated cities have city councils?
No, not generally. Sometimes, like Comanche, they have like an HOA
Okay.
because Comanche Village is actually like a corporation. I'm still trying to figure out how exactly it functions, but they have their own board, and that property, a lot of that infrastructure is owned by them. and so they kind of take care of that on their own with their own fees and stuff. That's like a
Okay.
utilities district, sort of, so to speak. And then the Amateur Water Agency also falls underneath this too.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and they're another different setup. It's an agency, which is
Yeah.
if you look up like what an agency means, I'll spell it out in more detail. But yeah,
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. So it is, for those of you who didn't know the importance of supervisors, these are the guys, at this point, it is all guys
yeah,
who are calling all the shots pretty
yeah,
much in our whole county. So, well, okay, what we have one, so Garrett couldn't be here. So, Garrett wanted to send a question to
yeah.
you, as to what his question is. What in the world is going on with the Ione golf course? So the Castle Oaks
Yeah.
golf course, is it staying? Is it going?
Well,
And I want you to know,
yeah,
Garrett's asking this because he's a golfer.
yeah.
So he wants to know, does he have to buy a house in Rancho Marietta or is he okay to stay in Castle Oaks?
Yeah, so one, I'm not on the city council, and I don't really have any of the backdoor stuff as far as the closed session type things.
Right.
I do, so just kind of a little bit of background. So Castle Oaks, years ago when it was all put together, it was two parts. So the city owns all the greens and all the grass, that type of stuff. That's owned by the city,
So the city owns the land.
the land, except for
Okay.
the clubhouse and the golf shop there. That's owned by the private entity.
Oh, okay.
And so, I mean, so they own that. And it's also it's a secondary, it's a wastewater treatment site. That whole, all those ponds, all that is treated water from
Oh,
our tertiary plant. The water goes into those ponds and it's sprayed on it's sprayed on the fields. And that water
okay.
comes
Okay.
from, it comes from largely Sutter Creek and that upcountry South Martell. All that wastewater is treated, and it's treated again, and it's disposed of on the grass.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a permitted wastewater disposal site. So I don't think it can go away. I mean, the state would have a really hard time, and Sutter Creek have a really hard time getting rid of the water. There's no other place to
Right.
get rid of all of it. And they have a lot. There's a lot that they have to do to get there. I know that there is an offer on the table. I'm not sure the numbers, but that will be hashed out. I don't think it can go away just because of the nature of what it is. Otherwise, the city would have to take it over and would have to mow the lawns and maintain it because it's permitted in a certain way. And I
Okay.
don't think that, and I know right now they're actually, I met with ARSA, which is the Amador Regional Sanitation Authority, and that's Sutter Creek, Amador City, and some other areas there.
Oh,
And the manager there gave us a really good high level summary of it. It looks like they've really got a good plan. I mean, it's taken, so about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I think I might have made a motion to kick ARSA out of the Ione wastewater system. This is kind of in the weeds a little bit. I'm sorry, my wife said don't talk about sewer. But I didn't. I told her manager the other day. I said I didn't make that motion to kick you guys out necessarily. I wanted you to come to the table and do what we're
right.
doing right now. I mean,
Right.
it took 6 years to get to that point, and I was really happy to see everybody's working together, trying to get a good water balance and getting our permits renewed together. Because I own, and when I was on the city council, I was fighting for my city. I'm like, look, we're paying for your chemical costs, we're paying for disposal, we're paying
Right.
for permits. Every time we violate because of your poor quality water, we have to pay.
Right.
And I didn't like that. I was like, look, we're subsidizing your wastewater system. My residents, I don't think they're enjoying it either. And so, you know, and that's, I fought it all the way through, and, you know, I made some people pretty sore at me, made the front page of the paper. Like, that person's a horrible guy. I am a horrible guy.
That
But
is
but
hilarious.
now it's come to fruition. It's actually coming around. I think it's going to be a really good partnership. It will save everybody money long term, spreading that out. I
Oh,
think it's
good.
going to be the best solution for everybody concerned. Sutter Creek, I think it's going to be good with them.
Awesome.
Ione's going to be good. They're having an ice cream golf course and some
Right. Right.
and stuff. So I think
Yeah.
it's a really
I mean,
good
that golf
fun.
course is so well, so what is my word? So well attended.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that go and love that. I mean, there's so many local, the schools and, all of the sports and
Yeah.
everything. I mean, use it for,
Yeah.
fundraising, and there's so
I've
much
got
that
friends
goes on.
that travel all the year to come here.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Past
great
weekend.
golf course.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so next question, and we'll make this my last
Yeah,
question. What is going on with the water in Ione? And so just
Yeah.
a quick backstory. So there are many building projects that have literally been halted
Mm.
because of the situation what they say that they can't get water for these projects. And so it's funny because if you talk to the city of Ione, they blame Amador Water Agency. And if you talk to Amador Water Agency, they blame the city of Ione.
Yeah.
What is your take on what's going on with the water in Ione?
So that is drinking water. That the city does not have any
Right.
real say so over that. It's Amateur Water Agency. I met with their Larry, the boss over there the other day, and it looks to me like it's probably, I don't know if it's, I would say it's probably mismanagement overall. And there was a lot of money invested in there. that probably should have gone for upgrades or been kept aside for development, because I know these guys put a lot of money in there. The states put a lot of money in there.
Right.
And so the kind of, the past is the past. You only deal with what you got. So right now what they've done is the reason why the rates are so high right now is because they have to build reserves. So when I first got elected, like I said, we're going bankrupt. We had some major sewer upgrades and we needed a loan. And we got our credit rating up to like a B plus, which we were able to get a loan from the USDA for
Oh.
1.8% interest. Can
Oh,
you imagine
wow.
$3.25 million? I mean, they're giving you money after about a couple of
Wow.
years. So
Yeah.
we spent that money real quick. The payments are covered easily by the rates, which I mean, it's like a 20 or 30 year loan. I forget the terms of it, but
And that loan paid for the new water treatment
that
plant.
paid for that was the sewer stuff. That a bunch
Okay,
of upgrades
okay.
there. So now what's happening here? The same kind of thing there. They need reserves to borrow more money,
Got it.
because if you don't have any cash reserves, you look like you're bankrupt. You can't make your payments. It's a problem.
Okay, okay.
And then another kind of an odd thing that happened with all that too is that when the governor went that last drought cycle, they want everybody to reduce. Well, they did. The problem is, if you're a water agency, what's your main product?
Right.
It's water.
Right.
And I don't think anybody thought that through. If you reduce 20%, you're cutting your revenue by at least 20%.
Oh.
And now you got this gigantic crater that you can't deal with. And it was unintended consequences. And the state certainly was not going to backfill that. So
Right.
guess who inherits that mess? It's the
Right.
ratepayer.
Right.
So all that extra money that you use a gallon of water, you're still paying $100. Well, that's largely to fill up that crater. So now they've actually are saving money. They have a work list. They think in 2 years they've already got some money secured and working on some other funding sources, but they're going to upgrade the plant and get it to where it actually needs to be at that time. There's a larger global solution that they're still working on all that. I'll put up I've got the whole list in my office. I'll
Okay.
take a picture of it and post it on my Instagram and my
Yeah.
Facebook stuff.
Yeah.
But you can kind of get a good look. It's a working list. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
What time frame are we looking, or is there even a time frame on what we're looking for people to actually be able to? I mean, I know projects like Wildflower,
Yeah,
they already had
yeah.
permitted, but anything new, what kind of a time frame are we looking like for new building and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so Wildflower, what they've done is they secured permits, they got water, and what it is, so there's ways that you can actually get a permit to connect, but you have to find some actual water savings. So what they're doing
Oh,
there is they're gonna probably go in and take out some neighborhood lawns that are, and talk people into doing that. They'll take out the lawn, make it a zero water landscape, and then from there they will take that water savings, 2 lawns
oh,
per new home. So it's kind of it's a zero stress on the system. But the upgrades will hopefully, if the timeline's correct, it'll be in about 2 years.
oh, wow.
And I also know too that there is another Ringer Ranch. They're looking to develop it. It's already, the lots are all divided. I'm not sure what stage they're, if they have a DA or not, but they're going to need water for that too. And that's like another 200 or 300 houses.
Where's that?
That is to the northwest of Castle Oaks right now.
Oh,
So
okay,
if you're going
okay.
down 104, the prison's here. It's that piece, and you need to the left.
Oh, okay.
And they have a pretty expensive bridge to build off a 5 mile. And I've lobbied with the developer and with anybody who'll listen to me. I want that road to punch across the creek and line up with the prison. And
Oh,
if Ione has a lighted intersection in town, it'll probably be right there,
wow.
because that's Blood Alley. If you go down there, you'll see taillights smashed all over. There's
Yeah.
been 2 or 3 fatalities in the last few years. And
Right,
it's a
right.
very
Yeah,
it's poorly lit, and it's just a weird intersection the way
yeah,
it comes together, just the hill and stuff. But
yeah.
all that to be said, I mean, it'll be a net benefit at some point, but they have to get water, and the sewer capacity needs to be increased too. They're doing some
Right.
stuff to do that too. So,
So when in I mean, if that's going to impact the schools.
it
So
was,
are we looking at a larger elementary school? Are we looking at a new elementary school? Or is that for a whole nother day?
a third rail. I have complete ignorance on that. No, I
We'll
mean,
get Jared in here.
yeah,
We'll figure out what's going to happen.
I can tell the citizens are very keenly interested in keeping that school in Ione
Yes.
at whatever
No,
that.
and I 100% understand. And that has been a huge debate. They want the elementary school to stay, and in which the elementary school was the prediction was, or
Yeah,
not prediction, but the plan was that it was going to move to where the junior high is,
right.
and then the junior high was going to consolidate.
Yeah,
But there has been a huge push to keeping the junior high
yeah,
in Ione
yeah.
also. And so I do know that that's been, that's not off the table by any means. I even had a conversation with someone recently who would be one of the main ones making that decision, and they said they're open to talking about that. I feel like consolidation as a whole, which would be a whole nother
Yeah.
episode. But definitely halted right now. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many things that didn't happen the way they should that I think that I don't think there's an option on moving forward. It's definitely halted for the time being.
And the buses are canceled almost every other day. I mean,
Right.
it's like if you
Yeah.
can't bus that many kids now,
Yeah.
you double that population. Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
a
that's
bigger
right.
issue.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there seems to be the citizens definitely want the school to stay, and we're
Yeah.
figuring that out. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a pretty group of people that are actually working into that end. So,
That's right. Yes. Awesome. Well, we are very blessed to have you.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
sure.
And so we stay tuned we will be doing these once a month. So for our next getting to know your supervisor, we'll do that in February. And Dan, thank you for
Well,
taking the
thank
time
you.
to be
No,
here with
glad you're guys.
us.
Yeah.
And congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
new position. We're excited to see what you do.
Well, I can't wait to see how this goes.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
any questions that you want to ask Dan or any other supervisors, just email them to whattodowednesdays@gmail.com. Also, subscribe, like, you can even push the little notification button on our YouTube page, WTDW little s, so capital WTDW little s. And if you click the little notification button, it will let you know when we upload new episodes. So, Dan, God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're praying for you in
Yeah.
this office, and we're excited to see what you do. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Thank you.
We just want to give you a What to Do Wednesday disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the official stance of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services or Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Divine Properties or any affiliated entities. This podcast does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice, and listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals regarding their specific needs. While we strive to provide accurate information, we make no guarantees regarding the completeness or reliability of any information discussed. We are not responsible for any actions taken by listeners based on the content of this podcast. Additionally, topics covered in the podcast are based on the host experience and opinions and may not apply to all situations. Listeners are reminded that real estate laws and regulations may vary by location, and information may become outdated over time. By listening to this podcast, you agree to release the host, guests, and any associated entities from any liability related to the topics discussed.